Kuf Yizayin with Beis towards the bottom of the Yamud, we're holding where it says Taner Rabbanon Shachach Pas Betaner. It's actually the last line of the narrow lines on the page. So we're learning here about Shachach Pas Betaner. Oh, so a little bit before that. You're right. Hitzel Pas Nekiya. Okay, 4 or 5 lines before that. First word on the line is Loi. We're talking about taking out things from a house where Chas v'Shalom there's a fire. So what could you save on Shabbos? So it said in the Mishnah you could save for 3 meals on Shabbos. So the Gemara brings a braisa. Taner Rabbanon hitzel pas nekiya. So you saved yourself some flour to be able to use, or some bread that's made from fine flour. Ein matzel pas hadra. So then you can't go and save bread that's made from coarse flour, because if you have already a better meal, why should you be allowed to go and save something which is not such a good meal? Pas hadra, but if you took out something and then you see that it's not good quality bread, matzel pas nekiya. You can go and again and save the flour bread which is made from fine flour. Umatzilin miyom kippurim l'Shabbos. On Yom Kippur, you're allowed to save what you need for Shabbos. Shabbos is holier than Yom Kippur. This goes back, we learned this before. From Yom Kippur, you could save for Shabbos. Avaloi mi Shabbos l'yom kippurim. But you can't save food from Shabbos for Yom Kippur. What's the pshat? What does it mean that you need food from Yom Kippur? You're fasting on Yom Kippur. So Taisus brings 2 pshatim. One pshat Taisus says that you're saving for Matzah Yom Kippur, to be able to make the Suda Matzah Yom Kippur. And we can't raya that the Suda Matzah Yom Kippur is not just a regular weekday Suda. Because if it was, then why would the Brais even be talking about this? Obviously, from Shabbos to a Matzah Yom Kippur, which is a chayil, it's a Yom Tov Suda. Or Taisus says we're talking about saving for a child that has to eat on Yom Kippur itself. He's not fasting on Yom Kippur. Needless to say that you can't save on Shabbos the food that you need for Yom Tov, and not this Shabbos. I can't save from the fire the food that I need for the following Shabbos. You have a whole week to prepare new food for the following Shabbos. Taner Rabbanan, we learned in a braisa similar halacha regarding a person that needs his food for Shabbos. Shachach pas betaner. Person left the bread in the oven. The kiddush alav hayom, and Shabbos came in. So as we learned this before already, the way then they used to put the bread into the oven, they stuck the bread to the walls of the oven, and then they would have to remove, they had a special thing to remove the bread from the walls of the oven. Before they had those aluminum pans or whatever kind of pans, that's how they would bake in the oven. So he left it in the oven. So matzilim mazon shalosh sudas, you can take out enough bread for 3 sudas. And he can tell others to come as well. Boyu v'atzilu lachem, come and take out what you need for that you can use for Shabbos. And when you remove it from the walls of the oven, you shouldn't use the regular tool, the regular thing that's used to remove it from the oven. It should be done with a shinui, it should be done with a knife. Fragt the Gemara, is this the case? Do you have to make a shinui? It says in the Torah that you don't do any malacha on Shabbos. So this excludes blowing shofar or removing the bread from the oven. It's something that takes a talent, it's a skill to know how to blow shofar and how to remove the bread from the oven, but it's not a malacha. So therefore, why should you have to make a shinui? Answers the Gemara, no, but it's still asim d'Rabbanan. It's still uvdin d'chayil, as the Rishonim say. So because it's uvdin d'chayil, it's a mundane activity. As much as it's possible to make a shinui, if you have to do this on Shabbos for the Sudas Shabbos, but you still should do it with a shinui. Now the Gemara is going to bring about preparing for Shabbos, for the food for Shabbos. So Rav Chisda said, Shabbos. A person should begin early in the morning, on Friday morning, to prepare for Shabbos. And so it was on the 6th day, on Friday, in the Midbar. The Yidden prepared what they brought in other words, the mun that they brought, they prepared it. When did they prepare it? La'alter. Immediately in the morning. When did they collect the mun? So it says in the pasuk, Rashi brings the pasuk here, they collected the man in the morning, and it says they right away prepared it, and therefore on a Friday as well, a person shouldn't delay his preparations for Shabbos until later on in the day. A person should begin preparing for Shabbos early on in the morning.
And before davening.
In some cases, that's even before davening. When even to go shopping before davening. This is brought in Shulchan Aruch. The Alter Rebbe speaks about it in a case where a person is concerned that there won't be enough food in the stores before Shachris. He's allowed to go before Shachris to buy food for Shabbos. Yeah. Amar Rabbi said, the Shabbos, this is the halacha of Lechem Mishnah. A person has to cut the 2 breads for Lechem Mishnah. The Chsiv, Lechem Mishnah. This is a zeicha for the month that they received a double portion, so we also make Lechem Mishnah. Amar Rav Ashi. So now the Gemara here says two different ways how you do the Lechem Mishnah. Rav Ashi said, Chazina leila Rav Kahana. So I saw Rav Kahana, the Nokatarti. He holds 2 chalas in his hands, but ubatza chada. He only cuts one for the meal. He doesn't cut both of them. Omar, he said, Liktuksif. It says they collected 2 portions of the man. So as long as you're collecting, you're holding 2 in your hands, even if you just cut 1 challah, you're Yaitze the Lechem Mishnah. Rab Zayda, however, Rab Zayda did it differently. Rab Zayda have a botza. Actually, it's a machlokes. Okay, well, first let me tell you Rashi's pshat. Rab Zayda says, Rab Zayda have a botza akula shiruse. Rab Zayda would cut what he needed for the entire meal. In other words, he wouldn't just cut a small slice of challah at the beginning and then later on in the meal cut more. He would cut on Shabbos for the chavivus to show his love for the Suda of Shabbos, as Rashi says. He would cut in the middle of the challah a larger piece that's enough for the entire meal. And that's actually our minhag, to cut the Lechem Mishnah a larger piece, not just one slice for the whole meal. That's Rashi's pshat in the Gemara. The Rashba's pshat in the Gemara is that he have a batza kol shirusi, means not like Rav Kahana that would cut only one challah and leave the other challah whole, and you could use it for another Lechem Mishnah tomorrow, but he would cut both of them. He would cut both of them for the Suda. So the Rebbe in Asicha, Ha'arav Asicha, explains that Rab Zayda held that the inyan of Lechem Mishnah is that it's a Suda. The Suda has to have two chalas. It's not about the bracha, that you make the bracha and you cut one, and then the other one, as far as the Suda is concerned, you don't have to use it. Rav Zayda held that the halacha of Lechem Mishnah is that in your Suda you have to have both. So therefore, according to the Rashba's pshat, he actually cut both of them. That's how the Rebbe teaches this in it. The what? The what?
What happens if you don't eat both of them?
If you're not eating both of them. But that is the mitzvah though. According to Rav Zayda, the whole mitzvah of Lechem Mishnah was that your Suda should consist of 2 loaves of bread. That's the chshivus of the Suda. We don't paskin like this, and therefore we only cut one. And the other one you could leave for another Suda. But that was, according to the Rashba's pshat at least, that's the pshat of what Rab Zayda did. Amalei Ravina le Ravashi. So Ravina said to Ravashi, V'hamechsi Rav Sanusa. This person looks like he's hungry, he's eating with azah. Not sure what's the word in English for this, but freser. Okay, so how it's not manners, table manners, to cut a massive piece of challah like that. You cut one slice, according to Rashi's pshat. Rabami v'Ravasi. Sorry, 1 second. So the Gemara answers, Amalei, Kivin the Chol Yoyim Eloi Ovid, since every day of the week a person doesn't cut this way, he cuts one slice, and now he's cutting this way for Shabbos, so it doesn't look like a Rav Sanusa. It's clear that he's doing it just to show the chavivus for the meal, how much he loves the meal of Shabbos. Rabami v'Ravasi, Ki Mikla Lahu Rifter De'eruva. When they had the bread that was put aside for the Eidov Chatzeres, right, that's made to be allowed to carry in a courtyard. So they kept the bread in their house on Shabbos. So Sharu ale ilavei, they would cut it. They would want to use that same bread of the Eidov. They would use it for also the Lechem Mishnah. Why? Amri, they said, Hayol v'savet b'chad mitzvah. Since one mitzvah was done with it, that it was used for an Eidov, l'savet b'mitzvah achrita. So you should do with it another mitzvah as well. And this is our minhag. I mean, usually when people make an Erev Chatzeros, so we make the Erev Chatzeros once a year, so you keep a matzah, they're fresh, that could be fresh for the entire year. But lahalacha, you can theoretically make an Erev Chatzeros every Shabbos. You, as long as you have the bread there when Shabbos comes in, you can eat it on Shabbos. Comes next Shabbos, you can make another Erev Chatzeros. Or like we do with Erev Tavshilin. What it says here in the Gemara applies to Erev Tavshilin. We put away the Erev Tavshilin for Shabbos, and then the minhag is that the Shabbos you use it for Lechem Mishnah, to do another mitzvah with it.
I'd say you have to come, that wouldn't work.
No, yeah, it has to. Okay. Sagt the Gemara, Keitzad Nafla Deleka. What did it say in the Mishnah? That if a fire falls in the house, so what do? You could be matzel 3 sudas, it said in the Mishnah, right? The number was 3. So that's what the Gemara is going to focus on now. How many sudas do you have to eat on Shabbos? So Tana Rabbana, we learned in Abraisa. Kama sudas chayiv adam lechol b'Shabbos. How many sudas is a person obligated to eat on Shabbos? Shalosh, 3 sudas. Abchitka ama arba. You have to eat 4 sudas. Amar Rabbi Yechanan said, they are both darshaning one pasuk. It says, Vayeme Moshe ichluhu hayom, eat the man terei ki Shabbos hayom la Hashem, because today is Shabbos, and then it says again hayom loisem tzu basada. Today you won't find man in the field. So it says 3 times the term hayom, so therefore you eat 3 sudas for this day Shabbos. Rab Chitke says, Hani tlasa hayom, the 3 times that it says hayom is lavar miyurta. It's besides the meal of Friday night. That meal of Friday night, you didn't use the month from Friday. So it's going on the 3 meals that you eat Shabbos day. So you have to eat Friday night and then Shabbos day another 3. V'Rabbanan savri, Rabbanan say bahadid. Huh?
Meaning if Friday night, another one.
1 Friday night. They eat 1 Friday night and 3 Shabbos day. Rabbanan savri bahadi de orte. Rabbanan say no. When it says the 3 times ayayim in the pasuk, it includes the meal that they ate Friday night. So it's only 3 meals for the 24-hour period of Shabbos. That's machlokes here. So there's a famous Indian over here that Rebbe spoke about. When you get the Suda Shlishis, that there's a whole shaila whether you should wash for Suda Shlishis or you could just eat peiros to be Yaitz Suda Shlishis. And minig Chabad is that we don't eat a full Suda on Suda Shlishis, we just toyim something, to eat something. And the remez, the makkah for this is because in the 3rd word hayayim that hints to the 3rd Suda, it says hayayim loisem tzu basada. The first 2 times it refers to chlu hayayim ki Shabbos hayayim. Eat it today because Shabbos is today. The 3rd time it says hayayim loy. So therefore, this is a remez that the 3rd time the eating is not as much as the other 2 sudas. Not only that, the Rebbe says the 3rd suda of Shabbos, the end of Shabbos, it says in Zohar, it says in Kabbalah that it hints to the time of La'asad Lavai, when there's going to be ein by loy achila v'loy shtia, that then food, the significance of food will not be the way it is today, that we eat food the way we eat food today. So therefore, we don't eat the 3rd suda on Shabbos. Well, maybe we shouldn't eat it at all. So the Rebbe says no, there isn't any to be tayim because it does say that la'asad lavai, that the guf, the gashmias will be elevated and the neshama will derive benefit from the guf. So ultimately, even la'asad lavai, there will be food in a completely different type of way of today, but there will be an inyan of achila la'asad lavai, and therefore there is an inyan to be tayim of suda shlishis.
There is a day that even David Torah, right?
You could be yaitz with Divrei Torah, but Al Terem Shulchan Aruch says you shouldn't. No, you should eat something. Tanan, we learned Tanan in our Mishnah. So now coming back to our Mishnah where it talked about saving the food for the fire. Who is our Mishnah following? When it said in our Mishnah that you could save 3 sudas, is it following the Rabbanon's opinion or Rab Chitke's opinion? So Tanan, Naflod Leika Beleile Shabbos, the fire is on Friday night, Matzilin Mazain Shalosh sudas. You can save what you need for 3 sudas. So my love, don't you think this means Delayachal? He didn't eat at the Suda of Friday night, so he has 3 Sudas to eat, which is the opinion of Rabbanon, not the opinion of Rab Chitke. So the Gemara says, Loi, not necessarily. Our Mishnah could follow Rab Chitke's opinion. The Achal, it's talking about to eat a Friday night after he ate the meal, and he still has another 3 Sudas to go, according to Rab Chitke. Okay, so the Gemara continues. The Gemara is going to repeat basically the same point regarding the continuation of the Mishnah. Shachris, what did it say in the Mishnah? If the fire is Shabbos morning, Matzilu Mazan Shtei Sudas. You have another 2 Sudas to go, and you can save for 2 Sudas. My lav de loyachal. Don't you think it means that he did not eat the Sudas Shabbos morning? So this is the Rabbanan's opinion. Loy de achal. He already ate the Shabbos morning meal, and he still has another 2 Sudas to go. Again, the Gemara goes weiter. B'mincha matzila mazan suda achas. Mincha time, you could still save for 1 suda. My lav de loyachal. Don't you think that it means that he did not eat the suda in the suda shlishis in the afternoon, and therefore he has 1 suda to go? It says the Gemara, no. Loy de achal. He did eat the suda, the suda shlishis, and he still has a 4th suda to go. So therefore, in our Mishnah, as far as the beginning of our Mishnah, we could say that it follows Rab Chitke's opinion. But now the Gemara presses on further. But v'hamid diktani seifa. What does it say afterwards in the Mishnah? Rav Yosi Omer la'oila matzilin mazan shalosh sudas. Rav Yosi says, regardless of whether you ate what you did eat, what you did not eat, you could always save 3 sudas. Right? So Rav Yosi is arguing only on the detail whether you ate it or not. But on the number of sudas, he's not arguing. So he says 3 sudas. Miklal the Tanakama shalosh svirele. So we see that even the Tanakama also holds that there's only 3 sudas on Shabbos. Ella machvarta, the best pshat in the Mishnah is masnisen de loik Rab Chitke. Our Mishnah that says that the number of sudas is 3 is not like Rab Chitke that says that it's 4 sudas. Now the Gemara brings another case and examines if it goes like Rab Chitke or the Rabbanon. This is talking about tzedakah, when you have to give a poor person tzedakah. So in the cities they had, this is in the Mishnah in Peah, it's brought in many places, where they had 2 different tzedakahs that they would give. One is called a tamchoy and one is called a kuppah. The tanchoi was basically food that they collected, like a soup kitchen, that they would give people meals to take from food that they collected for people. And then there are people that were embarrassed to take from the soup kitchen, so they had a tzedakah fund, money, that individuals would come to take money from the fund for their meals. So from the soup kitchen, they would give everybody 2 meals a day. And from the fund, from the tzedakah, which is called a kuppah, they would give a person enough for the whole week, for the meals, for the money, for enough for the meals that he needs for the entire week, so he should only have to come once a week to get the money for the meals. So let's see what it says in this Mishnah here. It says in the Mishnah, a person that has enough to eat 2 sudas for the day, you should not take from this tamchoi, which is the platter, the soup kitchen, that you take sudas for that day. If a person has enough money, enough food for 14 sudas for the week, right? 2 sudas a day, 7 days a week, so he has enough for 14 sudas for the week. So he should not take the money from the tzedakah fund for the sudas of the week. So now the Gemara is going to examine over here 14 sudas. Why 14 sudas for the week for 7 days? 2 sudas a day. Why only 14 sudas? Mani, who is this going according to? Lo Rabbanan v'lo Rab Chitke. It doesn't follow not Rabbanan and not Rab Chitke. Why? I Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan that say that there's 50, that there's a third Suda on Shabbos. So Chamesre haven. There should be 15 Sudas a week for a third Suda on Shabbos. I Rab Chitke, if we're following Rab Chitke's opinion, Shisari havin. There should be 16 Sudas a week because you have 4 Sudas on Shabbos. So you have an extra 2 sudas on Shabbos. So whose opinion is this Mishnah following? Answers the Gemara, La'olam Rabbanon. Really, this follows the opinion of the Rabbanon. And what's the pshat? Damrinon lei, we tell the person, Mai de boyes lemechel, ba'afuki shabbata, the meal that you would be eating at night after Shabbos comes out, achle b'shabbata. Eat it on Shabbos itself. A person gets 2 meals a day. Right, so 1 in the morning and 1 at night. So usually he eats the meal at night after it's dark already. But over here, the 2 meals that he gets for Shabbos, we tell him instead of eating your second meal at night after it's dark already, you should eat that meal on Shabbos itself, and that will be your 3rd Suda of Shabbos. So therefore it's only necessary to give him 14 meals. Which means that he's not going to have the meal of Matzah Shabbos, Malava Malka. That's what Rashi here bavarens. The Suda of Malava Malka is only for someone that it's possible. We don't have to provide Malava Malka.
And that's a minhag.
The what? Yeah. I mean, if you could, that the person mitzvah min amufcher, the Alter Rebbe calls Malava Malka mitzvah min amufcher, that you should eat Malava Malka. But if we're talking about a person that doesn't have, so then he doesn't. He's not going to be doing Malava Malka. So this is according to the Rabbanon. So we tell him to eat the night Suda during Shabbos. Okay. Now the Gemara says, according to Rab Chitke, where am I over here? So if so, it comes out like the Gemara Leime. Shall we say Rabbanon he? But this follows only the opinion of the Rabbanon that he's eating 3 sudas on Shabbos. V'loy Rab Chitke, and it doesn't follow Rab Chitke. So the Gemara says no. Filateime Rab Chitke. Really, it could go according to Rab Chitke as well. And we could do a similar thing regarding Friday. Damrinon lei. We tell the person, Mai de boyes lemechel b'mayla shabbata. What you want to eat on Friday night. Achle le'orte. Eat it tomorrow. Okay, so now we're basically telling the person to wait to eat. Again, le'orte means at night. At night. This is
before Shabbos.
What he wants to eat exactly. What he wants to eat before Shabbos, he should wait until at night to eat it. He should wait until it's dark, until at night to eat it. Fragt the Gemara, the kule yoyme the maile shabbate betanisim esvinele. So you're forcing this person the entire Friday to sit in a fast and to wait until at night to eat. It's not right. Eloha mani rabakivihi. So here, therefore, the Gemara says a different shot that really this Mishnah here follows the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says a completely different thing. The Amar Rabbi Akiva says, "Asay Shabbat chachoil va'al tetzarech lebriyes." That a person should treat his Shabbos, the meals of his Shabbos, like a weekday, and not take from the fund extra food for his Shabbos meal. So basically what Rabbi Akiva is saying is, yes, a person that could afford it has to have an extra meal on Shabbos or an extra 2 meals on Shabbos, according to the Rabbanan, according to Rab Chitke. But if you're taking from a tzedakah fund, you should not take from a tzedakah fund for the extra meals of Shabbos. Your meals on Shabbos should be chayil. And you have a regular just 2 meals on Shabbos, and the 3rd meal or the 4th meal you won't have on Shabbos. So therefore it could go both according to the Rabbanan and according to Rab Chitke. Another Mishnah where it talks about feeding poor people. It says also in the Mishnah in Pei there, Ein peichesin la'ani ha'oiver mimakim la'makim. So you don't give less for ani that's traveling from city to city. So you have a poor person that comes into your city. So you can't feed him less mikikar bipundyan, a loaf of bread for the value of a pundian, midalit sa'in besela, when you can get 4 sa'in of flour for money of a sela. When the price of bread or the price of flour is 4 sa'in for a sela, then a pundian will get you a loaf of bread, which will be enough for 2 meals. Okay. Lon, if he's sleeping over in the city, you have to give him what he needs to be able to sleep over. Ve'im Shavas, if he's there for Shabbos, you have to give him enough for 3 sudas. So Leimer Rabbanani, shall we say that this goes according to the Rabbanan, that you give him for 3 sudas, and it's not following the opinion of Rav Chitke that says you have to have 4 meals on Shabbos. Answers the Gemara, no, La'ilam Rav Chitke. It follows Rav Chitke's opinion as well. Kagain the ikes suda bahadeh. The assumption here is a person that's traveling, a poor person, he has some food with him, so he asks for 1 meal, but he doesn't have for the other 3 meals that he needs on Shabbos. So you give him 3 meals plus the 1 meal that he has with himself. I'm sorry, okay, this is a continuation of the answer. What you have along with yourself, that you're traveling with, eat that for Shabbos, and we'll give you another 3 meals, so you'll have 4 meals for Shabbos. If so, if he's going to go on his way, so then we allow him to go empty, without any food with himself. He had that food for himself that he was taking along for the trip, that he needs with himself. So according to the Rabbanan, we allow him to eat that food for the trip, and then we give him 3 sudas, but according to Rab Chitke, he's going to have to eat it up now. And says the Gemara, no, the malvinan lei suda bahadeh. We also have to give him to accompany along to it. He should be able to take along with him a meal with him, right? So the Mishnah was only talking about what you give him on Shabbos, but really you also have to give him to take along with him. Now the Gemara explains, what does it mean that you give a person what he needs to sleep? My parnasas lina. What does it mean you give him what he needs to sleep? Amarav papa purye ubeisadya. You have to give him a bed and a pillow to be able to sleep on. We learned in a Braisa, we're talking about the food, making food on Shabbos, so in connection to this, Gemara brings a Braisa that says as follows: Kairos she'achol behen arvis. The plates that you're using at night, the night meal of Shabbos, madichon, you're allowed to wash them, lechol ben shachris, to eat from them Shabbos morning. You can prepare from Friday night to Shabbos day. You can prepare it. Shachris from Shabbos morning, madichon lechol ben betzarayim. You can prepare to eat later in the afternoon. Betzarayim in the afternoon, madichon lechol ben b'mincha. You can prepare them to eat mincha. This Braisa seems to be following Rav Chitke's opinion that you have 3 different meals on Shabbos day. Mina mincha ve'elech, but once you already had your last meal on Shabbos, and now you have the plates and the cutlery, whatever is there, it's dirty. Shuv enu madiach, you're not allowed to wash it for Matzah Shabbos. You're not allowed to prepare from Shabbos to the weekday. This is brought in Shulchan Aruch. You're not allowed to prepare and wash your dishes from Shabbos to the weekday. Aval kaises, vikitaines, vitziloichias, cups, and various different kinds of things that are used to drink from them. Madiach v'hailach kol kula. That you can wash out the entire day. L'fisha ein kva l'shtia. There's no set amount of how much a person drinks. A person drinks all the time, so you can wash it out to use any time during the day. Amar Rab Shimon ben Pazi, Amar Rab Yeshua ben Levi mishum bar kapara. A person that fulfills the mitzvah of eating the 3 sudas on Shabbos, nitzel meshalish puraniyais, he will be saved.
That's according to Rab Chitke.
Yeah, I mentioned before that this price is Rab Chitke. So a person that fulfills the 3 sudas of Shabbos, so he'll be saved from 3 different punishments. Michevloi shal Mashiach, from the birth pangs of Mashiach. Midina shal Gehenim, from the punishment of Gehenim. Umemulchemes goig umagoig. And the wars of Gog and Magog, which it says in Yecheskel, that will happen when Mashiach comes.
That's different than Chavle Mashiach.
Yeah, 2 different things. Gog and Magog is a war, and Chavle Mashiach is different things. Ksiv hacha, and the reason is the Gemara brings the sources. Ksiv hacha, regarding eating the sudas of Shabbos, it says yom. It uses the term day, as we mentioned before in the beginning of the end of the last Amud. Ksiv hasam, and regarding Chavle Mashiach, it says Hine neche shalech lechemes leyo anavi leflei bo yom, before the day of Mashiach's arrival comes. So it uses the term yom. Midino shal Gehenim. Ksiv hacha, over here it says Yom. Ksiv hasam, regarding Gehenim it says Yom Evra, the day of Hashem's anger. The term Evra refers to Gehenim. Hayom Evra Hayom Ahu. That day is a day of anger. Milchemes Goig u'Magog. Ksiv Hacha Yom. Regarding the Suda, it says Yom. Ksiv Hasam. And regarding the time when the war of Goig and Magog happens, it says B'Yom Boi Goig. So therefore, we know that a person that keeps and does of 3 Sudas will be saved of these 3 things. A person that brings pleasure to Shabbos. The Eibishter gives him an inheritance without any boundaries. Shenemar, it says, if you have pleasure with the Eibishter, I will ride you on top of the heights of the world, and I'll give you to eat Nachlas Yaakov Avicha. I'll give you the inheritance of Yaakov, your forefather. So what does it refer to when it says the Nachla of Yaakov? This is a Nachla without any boundaries. How do we know? Like Avram Shekasav Bay. Not like Avram Avinu where it says, Kum Hisalech Ba'aretz La'araka. Avram Avinu, the Eibishter tells him you should travel in the land in its length and its width, which has a certain limitation. All these lands, which also has a certain limitation. Yaakov, it says, that he will spread out and he will be strong and go extend all over the world, north, west, south, east, without any limitations whatsoever. So this is an inyan that the Rebbe speaks about, Barichas Gedaila, in Asichet, and Chelik Tezvav, Parshas Vayetze. And the Rebbe there points out that Shabbos has something unique that's different than other mitzvahs. In every other mitzvah, every individual fulfills the mitzvah according to his level. When you do something active, naturally every person does it in his way. Shabbos is about abstaining from work, about resting. Resting, when it's abstaining, is something which is the same by everybody. Shabbos, to abstain, all Yidden are the same in that sense. And the reason is because in the mitzvah of Shabbos, the essence of a Yid is expressed in a Yid connecting to the Eibishter on Shabbos with the essence of his neshama. And therefore, once you connect to the Eibishter on such a level, you draw down a revelation which is without any boundaries. And this is connected specifically to Yaakov Avinu, which was the 3rd of the Avos, and it says that Yaakov Avinu was Midas HaTeferes, the middle one of the Midas, that penetrates all levels, and therefore, you can be zeicha to a Faratzta Yom V'Kedma that it says by Yaakov Avinu. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Kama. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says, a person that eats the 3 Sudas, Nitzel Mishibud Malchias. He'll be saved from the... from Mishibud... in my Gemara it says Malchias. You have Goliath? Interesting. Okay, no, it's whatever, different gerses. Nitzel Mishibud Goliath or Malchias will be saved from the oppression of Golos or from the kings. Ksiv Hacha, the Pasuk says over here, as we quoted before, Ver Kafticha al Bomeseyaretz, that a person that's Ma'anik Shabbos, so he will ride on the high heights of the world. Ksiv Hasam va'ata al Bomeseimoi Tidrech, and you will ride upon the haughtiness of the Goyim that oppress you, you will ride upon them. A person that brings pleasure to Shabbos, the Eibishter gives him all of the requests, all of the desires of his heart. Shenemar, v'sanag Hashem, you have tainig with the Eibishter in Shabbos, v'yitin l'chom shalos libecha, and the Eibishter gives you the requests of your heart. Now this pleasure that we're talking about over here, that you have to have pleasure on Shabbos. Over here in this pasuk, when it says v'sanag Hashem, to have pleasure with the Eibishter, what is it referring to? That the pleasure is in Shabbos. This pasuk refers to Einik Shabbos. Now what exactly is Einik Shabbos? How do you bring pleasure to Shabbos? Rav Yehuda Bereder Rav Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei Rav Ami says betafshul shaltraden. You cook beets, something that is special that you wouldn't eat. Usually you cook this for Shabbos. Dogim gedolim, larger pieces of fish that you eat on Shabbos. V'rashei shumin, and the heads of garlic. Garlic, geschmack, taste you eat on Shabbos. This is the pleasure of Shabbos. Okay, so it means kipshutei pasha, to bring pleasure to Shabbos is by eating a special meal, geschmack foods on Shabbos. But it's pointed out, remember where it says this, that the lashon of the Gemara actually is hama'anik esa Shabbos. You're bringing the pleasure to Shabbos, not the pleasure to the stomach. The idea is that your eating should be for the mitzvah of Shabbos, to bring the pleasure, to express your pleasure with your connection to the Eibishter that there is on Shabbos. Rav Chia bar Ashi Omar Rav says, "Afilu dava mu'it," even if there's something small that you add, ulakavet Shabbos, for the honor of Shabbos, also he did it for the honor of Shabbos. You fulfill the einig of Shabbos. What would be something small to add? Rav Papa kista the harsana, a small fish. We had this a few times. The Gemara brings this inyan of small fish, which is fried in the oil of the fish together with some flour. Even adding something small like that is fulfilling the mitzvah of einig Shabbos. A person that keeps Shabbos, according to Allah, even if he's serving Avodah Zarah, like the first generation of Avodah Zarah, like the generation of Enosh, the Eibusha will forgive him. Shenamar, as it says, Ashrei Enosh Yaseh Zois. Fortunate is the person that does this, meichaloloi, and from desecrating Shabbos, and then the Eibusha will be meichalim. How do we see? Al tikri meichaloloi, ela mochol loi. The Eibusha will be meichalim, will forgive the person for serving Avodah Zarah. And as the Mefarshim say, this includes even a situation when a person serves Avodah Zarah in a way that he was chayta machtias harabim and he made a chilul Hashem, and therefore even if he does tshuva, the Eibusha doesn't forgive him. Nevertheless, if he keeps Shabbos ka'alacha, the Eibusha will forgive him. That's the chiddush here. I mean, otherwise, if he did tshuva, so he did tshuva. But over here we're talking about even something that the Eibusha would not usually accept as tshuva. The Shabbos will help that the Eibusha will be meichalim. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Malish Amar Yisrael Shabbos Rishayim of the Eden would have kept the first Shabbos when they got the mitzvah by the time of the Mon. No nation or race in the world would be able to have any rulership over Eden. Shenamar, it says, Vayihi Bayom Hashvi, it was on the seventh day on Shabbos. Yatzim and Am Lilkait. The Eden went out and they collected from the Mon on Shabbos. They went and they didn't keep Shabbos, the first Shabbos. Uksiv Basrei, right after that in Parshas B'Shalach it says, Vayavay Amalek. Amalek came and attacked the Eden. Would have kept Shabbos, that wouldn't have happened, and no nation would have any koyach over the Eden. If Yidden would keep 2 Shabbosais according to Allah, if all the Klal Yisrael keeps 2 Shabbosais, miyad negolim, immediately the Yidden are redeemed. If you keep my Shabbos, and it uses a plural term, Shabsai Sai, which refers to 2 Shabbosais. What does it say right after that there in the pasuk? Ksiv basrei v'haviyaisim alar kotchi v'goyim. I will return, I will bring Yidden back to my holy mountain to build a Beis HaMikdash. So there's a famous thing that it says about this Gemara, that in the Medrash it says, Moli Mishamri Yisrael Shabbos Achas. If Yidden will keep even only one Shabbos, that they will be redeemed. So the answer that's given is that be'emes, every Shabbos has 2 aspects of Shabbos in it. There's the night of Shabbos, there's the day of Shabbos. It's 2 different levels of Shabbos. So when it talks about Nisham Yisrael Shtei Shabbosais, it's referring to 2 different levels of Shabbos within one Shabbos. Rabbi Yosi said, Yehei Chelki, I should have a portion together with the people, with the people that are eating 3 Sudas and Shabbos. Right, so here you see this concept that even though Rabbi Yosi, why is it saying over here Yehei Chelki? The Gemara now is going to bring a bunch of different cases where Rabbi Yosi said this lashon, Yehei Chelki. The Marsha points out that Rabbi Yosi is saying Yehei Chelki because he wanted to encourage people to do this. And Rabbi Yosi was telling people, I want to be with those people. So you probably also do, right? So he's trying to encourage people to do this. So when it comes to eating 3 Sudas, Rabbi Yosi was saying Yehei Chelki. It's interesting, people need such a big encouragement to eat 3 Sudas when they get to food, to eat. The Rebbe in the Sikha brings this in the Sikha I mentioned before about Shalosh Sudas, which is in Chelik Chafal of Parshas B'Shalach, and the Rebbe there says that the MS there's an inyan not to eat the 3rd Suda, because the 3rd Suda it says Hayayim Loi, and it's connected to La'asad Lave where there's no food. So Rabbi Yosi still said no, but I want to eat 3 Sudas, including the 3rd Suda, at least to taste something, because it's also connected to La'asad Lave where the guf, the guf will be elevated, and the neshama will derive energy from the guf itself. That's why he's saying Yehei Chelki with those that are eating 3 Sudas and Shabbos. Another thing Rabbi Yosi said, my portion should be with those that say Hallel every day. Is this true, to say Hallel every day? Person that says Hallel every day, it's like he's he's cursing, he's not praised the Eibusher, it's the opposite. And Rashi explains, a person that says Hallel every day, it just becomes like a song. It's just like he's saying a mizmor of Tillim, it's a song, and it looks like he's mocking this. He's not truly praising the Eibusher. So the Gemara answers, Ki kamrinam be'psuke de zimra. He's talking about the psuke de zimra that we say, the mizmayrim of Tillim that we say in the davening in the morning by Shachris. That's what he wants to say every day. It's a preparation for Shabbos. Not that a person should come and say Birchas Kriya Shema and right away say Kriya Shema without the proper introduction and preparation. My portion should be with those that daven when the sun comes out in the morning, when it's like you see the reddishness of the sun in the morning. There's a special mitzvah to daven right when the sun comes up in the morning by the Netz HaChama, which is what's called Vasikin. We learned about this in the Gemara of Brachas. Where do you see this in the pasuk? Yira ucha, that I revere you, Hashem, im shamesh, together with the sun, when the sun comes up, ulufnei yereach, and with the moon, deirim in all generations. My portion should be with those that die from stomach pains. The master said, "Ruban shel tzadikim meisim b'choyle mayim." Most tzadikim pass away from stomach pains, and the significance of this is Rashi over here says that passing away from stomach pains is actually very painful, and they pass away this way. This cleanses them from their avedas and can go straight into Gan Eden. Rabbi Yosi said, "Yehei chelki mimeisei b'derech mitzvah." My portion should be together with those that pass away in the time of doing a mitzvah. Right? So it doesn't mean that we're not talking over here about a person that the mitzvah causes him to pass away. Chas v'shalom, shulchan mitzvah ein ani zaykin. But it means a person has a lot of time when the Eibishter he's supposed to pass away, and he passes away. Punkt, when he's passing away, he's doing a mitzvah. So that's a very big schus to pass away in such a situation. There's actually an interesting letter from the Rebbe, an arichasdige letter from the Rebbe. It's printed in the back of the Sichas Chelik Lamed Hey, and maybe in the Igris also, where there was a tragedy, where there was a Hachnasa Sefer Torah. A family was celebrating Hachnasa Sefer Torah, and right in the middle of the Hachnasa Sefer Torah, a member of the family, or either the mother or a member of the family, during the Hachnasa Sefer Torah passed away. And they felt mamish terrible about how could such a tragedy happen in the middle of such a great celebration. The Rebbe writes them a whole arichas to console them. The Rebbe writes a few different points. One of the points the Rebbe writes them is what it says in the Gemara over here. I think about the neshama that departed from this world in such an environment, in such a joyous occasion, in the middle of doing such a great mitzvah. This is the greatest time and the greatest situation for the neshama to depart from the world. Rabbi Yosi said, "Yehei chelki mimachnisei Shabbos b'Tverya." My portion should be together with those that bring in Shabbos and Tverye, or mimaitziya Shabbos b'tzipairi. And when the Shabbos leaves, they leave with Shabbos like in Tzipairi. So Rashi's pshat over here is Tverye was in a valley, so therefore they took in Shabbos earlier because it became dark earlier. And Tzipairi was in a mountain, so even after the sun went down, they still had the light of the sun. So therefore they would take out Shabbos late. So to bring in Shabbos early and to bring out Shabbos late. Well, Rabbi Yosi said, "Yeichel kimi my shiva beis hamedrash." My portion should be with those that bring people to sit into the beis medrash to learn, and not from those that help people leave the Beis HaMedrash when they're finished or when they're finished learning Torah. Well, Rabbi Yosi said, my portion should be with those gaboyim that collect tzedakah, and not those that are distributing the tzedakah. When you distribute tzedakah, so you have to be very careful to distribute it honestly, and a person could make a mistake, so you have to be very careful with that. He didn't want to have a portion with those people. My portion should be with those that are suspected of something and it's not true, and it turns out to be not true. Rav Papa said, this occurred to me that I was suspected of something and it wasn't true. Rav Yosi said, I had 5 marital relations, and from those relations I planted 5 trees, be Yisrael amongst Eden. And who are these 5 great tzaddikim? Uman inun, Rabbi Yishmael b'Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Elazar b'Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Chalafta b'Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Avtilas b'Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Menachem b'Rabbi Yosi. So these 5 tzaddikim were born. Frek the Gemara v'ha'ike, he had another child, Vardimas. He had a child, his name was Vardimas. And for the Gemara, Hainu Vardimas, Hainu Menachem. This Menachem, he had another nickname, his name was Vardimas. V'amai karile Vardimas. Why was he called Vardimas? Sheponav daimen leveret. His face was shining like a rose. Fragt the Gemara, that Rabbi Yosi mitzvahs oina leikiyim. Is it true that Rabbi Yosi was not mekayim the mitzvah of marital relations only 5 times, and then he had these 5 children and not more? Answers the Gemara, Ela eime chomish bi'ilois ba'alti v'shanisi. There were 5 times that he had marital relations, and he repeated it again, and he was zeicha to have these 5 sons that were born. But it's not talking about all other times. Amar Rabbi Yossi said, I never referred to my wife as a wife, and I never referred to my ox as the ox. To my wife I referred to as the home, and to my ox I referred to as the field. And the reason for this is because Rabbi Yossi always saw the purpose in everything. The purpose of the wife is to be the mainstay of the home. The purpose of the ox is to work in the field. Rabbi Yossi said, I never looked at the aver of where it has the circumcision, the bris. Fragt the Gemara, is this true? It was said to Rebbe, my time Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Why are you referred to as Rabbeinu HaKadosh? How did you get this nickname as Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the Holy One? And he answered to them, I never looked at my milah. So we see that this is something that's unique about Rebbe, not about Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara answers, besides this, by Rebbe there was something else that made him very holy. He never brought his hands below his gartel, below his belt. And it was an extra kedusha that he had that wasn't by Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, the walls of my house never saw the stitches or the seams of my garment, meaning he always got dressed under a cover in a modest fashion, and he never uncovered himself. Rabbi Yossi said, I never did not listen to what my friends, my colleagues suggested to me to do. I know that I'm not a kohen. So he brings an extreme example. I know I'm not a kohen. If my friends will tell me, go up and duchen together with the kohenim, I will listen, I will follow what they tell me to do, and I will go and duchen. Right? So Taisva says, even though going and duchening, you're not a kohen, and to make a bracha, but he would go, he says, I always listen to what my colleagues tell me. One more thing, I never said anything about somebody, and then when I approached that somebody, I would have to retract my words. Whatever I said about somebody, I would be comfortable to say it in his presence, and I would not have to retract my words. So from here you sort of see that Rabbi Yossi held that when you say Lashon Hara, you're saying something about somebody, even if it's in the negative, as long as it's something that you're comfortable to say it in his presence, you're allowed to say it. Okay, not count for today.